with me now, the Only Rosa. Welcome to Double O Direct.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
It took a while because I reached out, I got sick.
Yeah.
You're recording a video.
I know. And it was so... The weirdest thing was I was actually so excited because I've never been on your show before. And it just had to take so long.
So to understand who you are as an artist, I want to find out who you are as a person. So give me background on everything before you became the Only Rosa.
So my real name is actually Rosalie. And I grew up with a single mom. And my brother, well, I grew up with my dad as well, but then passed away at some point. So everything I know now is basically from my mom and my brother. And I ended up learning that I could do music in such a random way. I went to high school in State House Girls, and while I was there, I really wanted to go like for parties and stuff. You know how you would go meet up with boys at those social events? And so
I used to see you girls in the windows of the dorms. I used to run down State House Avenue.
Are
And I
you
used to see,
serious?
yeah. I know y'all. I know you. You look familiar. Just kidding.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So well, that's while I was in high school. So my first year of high school, I ended up leaving State House though at some point, but back to how I ended up being a musician, I really wanted to go for those social events. And so one of the girls was like in a class above me suggested that I should join a club. And at that time, I wasn't really into sports or whatever. And so I went to the choir for an audition, and I ended up singing a song that I really loved at that time. I don't remember what the guy's name was, but the song was Breathless. Yeah, and so I sang it, and the crowd was just so excited for my voice, and I couldn't believe it because I was just singing in the shower basically all my life. But prior to that, I would do covers and I would post them on my YouTube channel, and I think it's just that, like, my confidence ended up growing. So once I joined the choir and then I left State House, I went to Loreto Valley Road, and there I became like the choir leader. And so from then onwards, I just started singing every single voice in the choir.
LCVR have a very strong music department, I think.
They do.
Yeah.
So at LCVR, that's where I really learned the most about using my voice. But then when I was done, I ended up going to uni for business. I went to business school. And before I went to business school, I went to aeronautical engineering. I was studying aeronautical engineering, and I was there for 3 months, and I quit. Because I was like, it was so hectic. We had to be in school like from 7:30 to 5:30, and you're straight from high school.
But remember, we don't want those planes falling down. We want to keep them up in the sky.
Exactly.
So we're happy that our aeronautical engineers are in school a long time.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a pro. But
That's why I left it to the pros.
Yeah.
Yes. Let them do that. So during that time, while I went to that school, in a span of like 2 months, that's when I also stepped into a studio for the first time ever. Someone actually watched a cover of mine on YouTube and was like, oh, come meet my producer. So I went and met the producer.
oh my God, you're almost like Kenya's Justin Bieber.
Right?
I know.
Yeah, my story is so insane. Yeah, and so that's how I actually ended up going into a studio for the first time. I recorded a song, and while I was at that studio, an event organizer had that I was going to the studio because he was looking for a female artist to sign because he had a label too at that time. And so when he got news of me being at the studio, he asked the guy who took me to that studio, who I never knew, by the way, he just found me on YouTube. He asked him to take me to his office so they could see if I could be a good fit for their label. So I end up going to that Taurus Music. I end up going to the label Taurus Music, and when I was there, they're like, oh, by the way, we have Burna Boy coming next week. So if you want to be part of us.
And you're thinking, what?
Yeah. And let me tell you the crazy part. I had no idea who Burna Boy was.
No. Okay, now I can't. Mumbi,
Yeah.
get her out. Get her out of here.
But at that time,
Yeah.
he still wasn't as big as he is now.
Yeah.
So it was actually his first time in Kenya. And they were like, oh, if you actually want to try this music thing, we can put you on the same stage as Burna Boy. I was like, you know what? I'll just come and perform for the sake of it. Because
So you and Ed Sheeran have something in common now. You can
We
say
do.
you and Ed Sheeran have something in
Yeah,
common. Yeah,
we
Burna
do.
Boy.
We do. So yeah, so that's how I end up performing at Niger Night and curtain raising for Burna Boy. And from then onwards, I got signed to another label, Flag 42. And then from Flag 42, I became an independent artist. And now it's just been growing and growing and growing. And I think the best part of it has been my shows. I started with Burna Boy, and then I went to Nasty C, and then I went to Conscience, and then now I went to Sauti Soul, and then Rema. Yeah, so like my performances have just been growing, and that's how I ended up being the Only Rosa.
I love how you've started with Burna Boy and then you're like growing, Sauti Soul.
So,
I hope those boys appreciate all this, that you're doing for them.
Do.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and funny thing, I had performed with all those people, but when I got on stage with at least guys I've grown up seeing and appreciating their music, it meant even more to me. Yeah.
When did you open that YouTube channel?
I think when I just left high school in Form 4 or something, that was like, I don't know, 12 years ago.
So what was the motivating factor behind that? Because for every artist, there's a switch that goes off, right? And for a young girl, young women listening right now who are contemplating what you seems to have done instinctively.
Yeah.
What was the motivation behind, starting that channel? What did you want to communicate?
To be honest, I didn't want to communicate anything. Now that I look back and I think about it, I actually had no idea what could possibly come out of that, because that's when YouTube had just started getting really popular as well. And I had this little camcorder in the house and I had nothing to do with it. So I was singing and before that though, I was dancing. I was really good at break dancing, by the way.
Okay, we have a stage. Mumbi.
Yeah, I know.
It's gonna happen, right? All right, continue.
So I was actually in a boy dance group called Switch Inc. and we were 6 guys and then there was me. Yeah, and so I would go for break dancing sessions on Saturdays and stuff, and we would record that and put that on YouTube as well. And so when that was over and I was done with school, the only thing I had left was singing. So on my YouTube page, I just now started posting my singing,
With your covers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was just doing covers of people that I liked. Emily Sande, Adele, those are my favorites. So I just did it, I think, because I liked the way I sounded, to be honest.
I always tell people you have to be your own first biggest fan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a bit of vanity, because if you really ask me, I didn't think at that point that anyone would look at it and be like, oh wow, you're so amazing.
You should be a professional.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because even then, you see, even by the time I got on stage, I still didn't think I was a professional. I just thought, okay, you want a female artist? I can sing. Here I am. Yeah. But now looking back, it's actually been a gradual progression into who I am now. Yeah.
I'm with singer, songwriter, the Only Rosa, and we talked about how you ended up becoming a musician professionally
Yeah.
after giving up aeronautical engineering after 3 months.
Yeah.
But when did you actually become the Only Rosa? Because your name is Rosalie.
Yeah.
When did that moniker come about?
So, when I started music, when I got into a label, my name was actually just Rosa. And then I don't know if you know, there's a Tanzanian artist called Rosa.
Never heard of her. Never heard of her.
Oh, wow.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah, so I actually went for an interview once and someone kept calling me Rosary. And when I left that interview, I said, nope, that's not gonna work for me. So I had to change my name from Rosa, which is just the short form of Rosalie, into the Only Rosa. But before that, that was not actually my name. My name was not Rosalie from the beginning.
What was it?
Crazy story,
No,
right? I think it's literally one of the craziest things I've ever had of myself. So growing up till I was, I think, 13, my name was Rosaline.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
weird.
Girl, it gets better. So my name was Rosaline, right? And you know, when you're doing your KCPE over here, you have to bring your birth certificate to school so they
Yes.
can verify your details and all that. So I asked my mom for my birth certificate and it comes and it's Rosalie Akini. And I was like,
Well, you go
Why
and
is-
calling me something.
yeah. So first of all, I was like, why is my certificate wrong? Because I guess if your certificate is wrong, then everything is messed up. Like, I don't
Completely
exactly
messed up.
Yeah. And so my mom goes like, but your name is not Rosaline, your name is Rosalie. I was like, It's been 13 years of my life. I've been calling myself the wrong thing. And so she says, yeah, because Rosalie was so hard to pronounce.
Yeah.
So when I just started calling myself Rosaline and writing it down, they just let me call myself that.
No, parents, what?
Yeah,
Parents?
that's crazy.
Do not do that.
Yeah, and to this day, I still don't understand. But can you imagine if my name was Rosaline, then there wouldn't be like the Only Rosa.
True.
Yeah, so at 13, that's when I now found out my real name. And that's grown into my actual name now as an artist.
That is incredible. And what surprised me the most is the volume of work I found of yours online. With regards to your music videos, for example. When was that opening for Burna Boy? What year was that?
That was
Niger Night.
I
When
think
was that?
2013.
So this has been happening for a long time.
Yeah, it has. And honestly, you know, when people say your life is basically a journey, I think my life is the perfect example of that. Every single action that I've taken has led to one thing or another. So in 2013, when I did that, already I started on such a huge stage performing alongside Burna Boy, right? And then after that, I had the burden, but also the, how can I say it? It's actually a gift in disguise, really.
Yes.
I had to make sure that my career turns into whatever it was when I was performing alongside Burna Boy, because it was already such a huge job that I was given on my first day on stage. And so I've had to prove myself that I was worthy of that stage to this point.
A lot of artists have mentioned that sometimes when you have overnight success like
Yeah.
that, there is a low that hits
Yeah.
after, because now everyone expects that you automatically have money, you automatically have, millions of followers,
Yeah.
you automatically have huge connections. What was that transition period for you from the time you performed on stage with Burna Boy to your next big gig? Was there a lull?
There was actually, and it still happens to this day. I'll have like a really successful day, and then for the next couple of months, I'm like, oh no, am I doing the right thing? Maybe I should have been an engineer instead. But yeah, I feel as though, especially after that what happened with Burna Boy, I was already at a place where it opened my mind to the possibilities that could arise just from music. And so from then onwards, the low has actually been creating the music to get to the point I wanted to get to. So even if you go back to my videos, there's such a huge difference from what I was doing back in 2013 to what I'm doing now. Even from the quality of the videos, and especially even my songwriting. I'm so proud of my songwriting because I feel as though it's the one thing that has really grown for me as an artist. And so there was even a point I had to go to school. I had to go to do my master's. So I left the country. I went to Manchester for like a year and a half. I was doing no music at all. And I had to basically accept it that I was now a student, a business student, and not a musician.
So your master's
in innovation management and entrepreneurship.
So did you finish that undergraduate?
Yeah, so
business?
I finished my undergrad in marketing and entrepreneurship.
Yes.
And then I went to do my master's. I finished it. But during the master's period was the hardest. That was, I think, one of the lowest points of my life as an artist, because I had to talk myself into believing that there was greater things coming for me in music, despite the fact that I was on a break. Do you understand?
I completely do. And how important is management in terms of growing an artist's career and managing those lows? Because in 2013, have you always had a manager with regards to your music career?
No, I've actually been fluctuating. So I've had a manager, and then I didn't have a manager, and then I had a manager again. But one thing I realized is it's so hard to even work with a manager when you don't understand your brand yourself. And so for me, like right now, I do most of the things on my own as an independent artist. And it's been the most fruitful part of my career, to be honest, compared to when I had a manager, especially because of the kind of industry we're in. I feel as though our music industry is not yet developed to the point where everyone's roles is defined. So here you find the artists still being their own stylist. Then I'm still my own songwriter. When there's people who all I do is show up at the studio, sing. Somebody else writes the song, somebody else designs my outfits. Exactly. And so even I've had to now learn how to manage my emotions as an artist. One crazy thing I came to learn, I think later on in life, which I think every creative now agrees, is we are very prone to psychosis.
I love how you say, we are very prone to madness.
Yeah,
in a very
we
nice
are.
way. Yeah.
Yeah, and also like depression and all that. I think it's something that's very rampant in us creatives. And so having to now learn that about myself, sometimes it even makes me not go into studio because I have to now go through that low and then remind myself, oh, you know what? You're a creative. Your mind goes far sometimes. You start thinking of things that are not happening. And so go channel it into your music.
Yes.
And so all that I've had to learn how to do myself. So at least by the time I'm working with a team of people, I already understand my brand and how to work as Rosa first. Yeah.
Management, managers, anybody working with creatives need to understand that we are constantly living in a state outside of the box. In order to
Exactly.
create, you cannot be in the box.
Exactly.
Because nothing is created in the box. Nothing is created in that comfort zone.
yeah.
Everything is created outside of the box, outside of that comfort zone.
Exactly.
So understand that we're not being crazy for crazy's sake. There's method to our madness.
There is. And on top of that, you can imagine being female. I always tell people that being female is I think it's a blessing for me being an artist because there's a lot of emotions that I go through. Sometimes even I've worked with people, even managers who are like, oh, I can't work with female artists because you guys just have your own thing going on. And I think that's our gift, to be honest.
I completely and utterly agree. Olivia Otieno, this is a safe space for women every Saturday from 10 a.m. You can reach out directly to me. Cut out the middle woman, Mumbi Njoroge. Reach out to me directly via the Instagram. My handle is my name. It is Olivia Otieno. Do not call me Oliver. All right? Olivia Otieno. That's it. Right now, the Only Rosa. I think I'm tickled. Yeah, I told you don't laugh. But now you
I was really holding my breath. I can totally relate to the calling you a different name thing.
And they're very adamant.
Yeah, they're like Oliver.
Oliver! You know? Anyway, so take me through your creative process.
So I think for the most part for me, I don't really have a specific creative process, but I'm really driven by procrastination, to be honest. Yeah, so I'll push myself to write or create things after a long time of not creating. That's how I work best. Yeah. So there's other people who they create every single day. They want to sit down and write a song. But for me, I find like that's really exhausting because I write things based off of my emotions. You know how there's other people who can make music based off of just looking at people. For example, Olivia doesn't like how you misspell her name, and they'll just sit down and write a song about it. Right?
Write a song about
Yeah.
it.
So for me, I'd have to go through the emotion that you're going through for me to be able to write about it. And that doesn't happen every day.
Yeah.
So one thing about me is I spend a lot of time on my own and with my family. I don't really like being out too much because I feel as though my energy is getting drained. So I'll have those times where I just isolate myself. And then for like 2 weekends straight, I'll just spend a lot of time with people, collecting stories, listening to what crazy stuff has happened to them in the last few months. And now I'll take that and then go back into my little shell and I'll go through the emotion that they were going through. And that's how I create.
Fantastic. So you always start with a songwriting?
Yeah, with songwriting. So just recently, I started learning piano. Well, now I'm quite good at it. But so I can sit down on my piano or my guitar and play something, a few chords, and then I'll just start writing from that.
Can you read music? Or you're learning
Sort
to read
of.
music?
I can read music, but that's from my high school experience.
Okay.
From the knowledge that I got while studying music in high school.
Yes.
But right now, I don't necessarily like reading notes and all that. But I understand music from like music is so interesting. So there's people who can just listen to you play something on the keyboard and they'll be like, that's a C sharp or whatever. And me, I'm like, what? I could just tell you that sounds good or that doesn't sound good. So that's me. So that's how I'm also learning the keyboard. So I know the keys and all that, but then I really just go with
intuition.
Yeah, with my intuition. Okay, if I put these two together, those work, those don't work. So that's how I do. Even with my songwriting, I'll just, as long as I can play just 3 keys, I'm good. That's it. I'll use this.
The Only Rosa 3 keys. No, just kidding.
Exactly.
How has or how have your formal education with regards to your undergrad and your master's worked with you since you acquired them? Because are you making use of that knowledge?
I think I am, mostly in the sense of branding myself. So, for example, right now there's a book that I'm reading on how the old companies like Nike and them, the viral strategies that they've used to this day for them to be able to brand the products in a certain way. And so I take those things that I learn in such books and just apply them into myself or the service that I give, which is music. And since I learned marketing in school, it was mostly like, you know, standard things that they teach you. Oh, okay, you have a shoe. How are you going to sell the shoe? And so for me, I've had to now take the things that I learned in school and then apply them into rebranding. See how I had to move from Rosa to the Only Rosa. Now I've had to teach people who the Only Rosa is. Why is she not just Rosa? And then now I do even a lot of Luo music. So I've had to also change even my image to fit into that. Growing up, I was such a tomboy. Yeah.
You and me both.
Really?
Yeah. People see me in heels, they're like, really?
Really? Thank you. Yeah. So I've had to also not lose myself. So I've had to learn how to understand who I am, the tomboy in me, how she wants to dress. But then again, she also wants to dress like a traditional Luo artist. Yeah. So finding all those things, it's really been based off of my knowledge of marketing from school.
Other than your earrings, your outfit is very androgynous.
Yes.
It's very...
You're the first person I've met who can say that word.
Androgynous?
Androgynous, yeah. Because everyone's just like, oh, I like your style. I'm like, it's androgynous. That's what it's called. Wow.
All right. Thank you so much. We're going to go into having a look at your outfit, but also with regards to the process.
Yeah.
So you've written the words.
Yes.
Who do you work with regards to turning those words into actual music?
So one thing with me is I have a lot of music that I've written on my own, on my guitar or on my keyboard, and I just keep those on my phone. And those are like, we like to say there's a lot of trash before you get to a really good song.
It's like a husband.
Oh, well, yeah, okay. You could say that. Yeah, so I have a lot of those songs that I've just stored on my phone. Some are really amazing, but then they don't see they don't get to the end of the tunnel. They just stay there. They're like a chorus and a verse, right?
Exactly.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah, like a husband again. But then when I go into studios, I go and I find producers have already made beats for me. So I have to create something completely new for those beats. So when I'm there, then I have to now start from a beat into now the songwriting. But what that trash does is it filters out all the things I would have said that I don't think people need to hear. So by the time I'm going to the studio, I have a good idea of the rhymes I want to use, the melodies or the emotions that I'm in right now. Because sometimes you can write a really angry song, but then when you go to studio, suddenly you're not angry anymore. Yeah, so I just like doing that. I like doing both. I go to studio, work with beats that are ready, but then I also write on my own just to filter through the dot.
Do you have to finance your own studio time?
Yes. That's part of being an independent artist. So I have to do a lot of things on my own, which includes getting the resources to make my music. So a few months back, I actually bought a home studio. So I have a microphone and a few things that I can use to learn how to record. But I still need to learn the production side of it as well. But just even that, it's basically cut down my studio expenses into half, you know, and which is so important for me because the money I'm saving on studio time, I can get a better quality video from just that same amount of money. Yeah.
I was going to get into who you look up to creatively and commercially, but I think since we're on the money, how are you as an artist making money?
So I think for me, it's mainly from streaming. But then what I've learned with streaming as well, there's highs and there's lows. When your song is like all over TikTok, obviously, then it goes up. And then like now, like Kenya has been on this down, I don't know, like people have been at this slump.
Yes.
So there's specific types of music they're listening to. So if your music isn't in that category, then again, it goes low again. So you can't always rely on that unless you have like a hit song just constantly on rotation and stuff. But other than that, I also rely on shows. For me, shows are my main
Bread and
source.
butter.
Yes, because I love my performances and I put in all my effort for my performances. So I'm like, I might as well not make money a few months in, but trust me, when I come for a show, you're paying me a good amount of money because of the kind of work that I put in my shows. Yeah.
How can people reach you since now everyone's like, I want to book her. I want to book her. Like, how can people reach you?
So you can always find me on my social media at The Only Rosa, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, everything. The Only Rosa, ROSA.
And thanks for watching the live stream on the homepage, standardmedia.co.ke. Thank you too to everybody who's on the Insta Live of the Only Rosa. You all say I've got mad energy. I have mad energy. Like I said, there are levels of energy. It starts with nimeamka, nimekunywa kahawa. I have had an energy drink. I have had a pre-workout. And you know what I mean, huh? I've had a pre-workout. These are those 2 scoops, not the 1 scoop, the 2 scoop pre-workout. Then there's double O. Yeah? If you have that kind of energy, I want you as a segment co-host on Double O Direct. All you have to do to get my attention is to upload a video of yourself displaying whatever talents you think you have. Right? Let's say it's finance, it's fitness, it's health, it's entertainment, it's current affairs, it's politics, it's medical, it's legal, whatever it is. But use the hashtag Double O Direct. That's how I'm going to find you on Instagram, on Facebook, and on the Twitter. Right now, though, I'm with singer, songwriter, and all-around fantastic human being, the Only Rosa.
Hello.
In the industry, or even outside of it, people you admire, let's say creatively, before we get into the money, let's say, who are these people who you admire, look up to, wanted to emulate creatively?
I think for me, I'm mostly inspired by singers, to be sincere. But that's because I honestly don't listen to a lot of music, which is very strange. But the few people I listen to specific people. As I told you, I feel like my energy is really affected by other people's energy. Yeah. So if like I can feel a song, if I listen to the song and I don't like the person's energy, I just never bother with the person again. Yeah. So there's a few people who I listen to and I always feel like they're part of my tribe. And those are the people who inspire me. Specifically, Sia and Adele.
Oh my God, Sia.
Yeah, but
Oh my
if
God.
I was to be anything, I've told people this so many times, they think it's a joke.
Yeah.
If I was told today, like, I have to give up everything to meet one person, like everything, I'll give it up to meet Sia. Like this, I feel like she's like the embodiment of success, hope, creativity, a strong woman. Like she's everything.
Do you know that right now someone is listening and thinking exactly the same thing about you?
Right?
Can you imagine that power?
Oh my gosh.
And that influence? Someone is sitting somewhere listening and thinking, the Only Rosa, you are my Sia.
Yeah. Oh, that's crazy. I've never even thought of that.
I know.
That's
Most people don't. Most
amazing.
people don't. Most people
Yeah.
don't. Most people don't. They are somebody's that person, you know? So fine,
Yeah.
great. What about commercially? I know that you also say that she embodies success. When you
Yes.
think about boss moves, big money moves, or you think about, everything you work for so that you can focus purely on your art.
Yeah.
Who comes to mind? And let's think globally, but also Pan-African and regionally.
To be honest, I don't think I ever really look at anyone like that. I think what I really take from people is their drive, and no matter what it turns into monetarily, I don't necessarily settle on, oh yeah, I want to be like them because of they're making
You
boss
don't want to say that
moves.
Akote is making 1 million shillings or 5 million
No,
shillings per
imagine,
performance?
no, like I have like my own goals. Like I have like my
love it.
own goals of the kind of money I want to make or the kind of things I want to own, which is, I don't know. I feel like most people just have like Rihanna in them because they have really successful brands and companies. But I think for me, one person who's always stood out is Oprah. I know a lot of people say Oprah, but for me, it's different because Oprah has been so diverse. Her whole journey, how she ended up being basically like a billionaire or whatever, is just insane. She just stayed true to herself and she's always stuck to the cause. She's helping people. She was even like she went out of media. She went out of media to help people, but still works in media just to help people. Yeah, so she's
But
never.
she doesn't need that. She doesn't
Yeah,
need that
she
stress.
doesn't. She actually
She
doesn't.
doesn't need that platform. She doesn't need that limelight.
Exactly. So she's merged her passion with her purpose, which is to help people. And that's how she's making her money. And she's not making the money so she could be like, oh yeah, I own this and this. No. Even she's making her money with a specific purpose still, which is to help other people. So I think for me, she's definitely my idol when it comes to money making. Yeah.
Where do you see us as an industry with regards to music and creatives here in Kenya?
To be honest, I feel as though we have a really long way to go in terms of embracing creatives. But in terms of growing on a music perspective, we're doing that already. All the way from us realizing we didn't have our own sound to people trying to create our own sound when Gengeton came and all that. And then we grew out of that. And now we have like really diverse artists doing amazing things. And that, I think that's really helped us as musicians. It's opened our minds to the possibilities of what we can do, not just being blocked into, oh, I'm just making music for Kenya and all that. Now we can actually look up to people in other places and know that our music can be exported. So that's really amazing for us. But then I still feel as though we have this culture where we don't necessarily understand creative people and what it takes for us to build the industry to what it could potentially be. Because I still look at Nigerians and I'm like, wow, these guys are amazing. Like, it's the way, and it's not just the way they do business, the music business. It's how they've infused the culture, and then they understand the creative.
They have a sense of pride in where they're from and where they come from.
Yeah, and then they look at their creatives like they're a symbol of something, a symbol of hope for their community. And so I feel like for Kenyans, we're also slowly growing into that. But I feel as though until the point we get to that place where we actually understand creatives, we understand the struggles creatives go through, then yeah, we still have a lot to learn, but at least we're working on it.
Usually in my head, I'm always thinking about the next question, the next question, and the next question.
Yeah.
But with you, for some reason, I'm just listening to you. So I was totally
Really?
blank for a second, thinking, if she stops talking now, I'm going to have
What am I
nothing to say.
gonna
I'm gonna have nothing to say. No, but seriously, I want to know about your music
Amazing.
portfolio.
Yeah.
And to understand, you said you first went on stage with Burna Boy in 2013.
Yeah.
Did you sing your own song?
So I'm telling you, everything I do has been a lesson. I feel as though I'm always challenged. Like God is always challenging me just to prove to me what I'm capable of. And so the first time when I got on stage for the first time, I was actually told to sing the Kenyan national anthem and Nigerian national anthem. I've never even had the Nigerian at that point. You haven't,
I've
right?
never heard it. Never heard it.
Thank you. So I actually had to learn. And obviously, you know how we sing our national anthem. There's the choir way of singing it. And then there's the singer who's presenting in front of people way of singing it. So I had to learn that for both the Kenyan anthem and the Nigerian anthem, which I went online and just found a Tiwa Savage video. Yeah, and she basically just took me through that.
But she's amazing though, isn't
She
she?
is. She is so amazing. And so that, again, that was another challenge, which now taught me. So even now, when I go into a room and someone says, oh, sing the national anthem, can you imagine I have the memory of how I sang it the first time?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't even remember your question at this point.
You didn't have your own music.
Oh yeah, I didn't have my own music. So I ended up singing the anthem. And yeah, the crazy part is, you see, I started with covers.
Yes.
And then the covers got me onto the stage singing the anthem.
Yes.
And then from the anthem, a week later, I was in studios recording my own music.
So how many songs have you currently released?
So many. I think a few years back, I released an album. It was my first ever album. It was called Original Copy. And it had 12 songs.
Yes.
And then after that, I released about 3 songs. One with Burna Boy, which ended up being like my most successful song at the time.
Yes.
And then after that, I released my EP called Waves,
Yes.
which has now been my most successful project.
How many tracks on that?
8 tracks.
Okay.
8 tracks. And I worked with so many producers. So it was just like
So
a
you have
little
like 23
baby.
tracks out
Yeah, already. I know. It's so insane.
there. And how many music videos?
How many? I think I have like 10 in total. So
Wow.
one thing about my career, as I told you, I've always had to think about how to fund my stuff. Apart from when I was in a label, which was like such an amazing time of my life.
Yes.
But even now, I've always had to figure out how to fund my things. So I think about, what song do I want on a video? Do I have the budget for that?
Yes.
If not, do I want to go back to studio, keep recording some more stuff? So that's how I've ended up having less number of videos compared to my
Number
the
of
music.
tracks.
Exactly. And so now I actually have a new album coming out next month. It's gonna be amazing.
There's a stage right here. I want you
Oh, wow.
performing on this stage. I was gonna say parting words, but I'm not. We're gonna be right back. Here's some Mariah. The track is Through the Rain. Now, the Only Rosa, I was gonna let you go like 10 minutes ago, but I could not do
Yeah.
it because we are not done.
Okay.
So you have this amazing portfolio of work.
Yeah.
Tell me about some of the amazing artists you've worked with.
So I've not done too many collabos. I think the people I've worked with the most are more producers than artists. But I have worked with Burna Boy. I've worked with Japesa. Those are, I think, my 2 greatest collaborations so far. But on my new album, I also have a few collaborations coming.
When's
So
the
that's
album
going to be-
dropping?
Nobody knows at this point, but hopefully next month, because
Yes.
the album is ready, everything is ready. I have a few videos lined up as well. So yeah.
You were shooting a video. I've been looking at your socials.
Yeah.
And are you collaborating with Susannah?
Something like that. But I'll let her speak on it when it's done. But yeah, we actually worked on a project,
Yeah.
which is so exciting for me.
Yes.
Because it was such a random coincidence that I even ended up meeting her.
Yes.
And can you imagine the first day I met her, we ended up doing a song together.
How did you meet?
Yeah. So I actually went to studio House of Dili, where I was recording my album. And so on this day, I went, I think, to pick a file or something. And so as I was sitting outside, Dili just mentioned it in passing. He's like, "Oh, you know, Susannah is in studio today." And I was like, "Susannah?
Yeah.
What do you mean, Susannah?" And he was like, "Susannah Wheel." And I just asked politely, could I just say hi to her, because I've never met her before. And for me, growing up, she was the symbol of Luo music. And I think everyone around me just always appreciated her. So in my mind, I'd never really thought that I'd ever meet her. I just looked at her as a legend, yeah. So when he was like, "Yeah, you can say hi." So I went, I said hi, and then I told her that I sing Luo music as well. So we ended up playing one of my songs to her. And the moment she heard it, she was like, "I've never heard you before, but I have a beat you're going to write to right now. You're not leaving here before we do this track."
Yeah.
And can you imagine, by the time I left, we had a complete song.
Wow.
Yeah, which is just so crazy. And so now we've been doing some promo, like some shoots and stuff, just to prepare, because she also has her own project that's coming. So that's going to be exciting. But
Wow.
I think it's such a huge step in my career.
Album dropping in about a month.
Yeah.
Amazing collaborations happening with that album. 3 to 5 years. Let's be fortune tellers. Where are you headed?
Well, other than me sitting here with my Grammy,
Other than that,
other than that, I think for me, I'm just going to be more in tune as a musician. To be honest, my whole goal as an artist is to remind people the power a creative has. So to give hope to other people, to be able to make the people around me and the people who listen to my music to aspire for something greater than the situation that they're in.
Yes.
And that's honestly what I want for my music. In the next 5 years, I want people to think of Rosa and my music and be like, I'm really glad I came across her work. Yeah, so that's what I'm working on even from now.
That's incredible. I absolutely love that. I'd love to see you headlining a show in Lagos. I'd love to see you headlining a show in the US, in the UK, in South Africa, even our neighbors here in Tanzania. And of course, having bigger and better shows right here in Kenya.
Yeah. Actually, on that note, remember when you asked me artists who've inspired me?
Yes.
I forgot to mention, but Brenda Fassie and Angelique Kidjo.
Yes.
I love the power that they possessed
and the longevity of their music.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's really what I'm praying for myself. I just want to be able to represent Africa. Yeah.
On that international stage.
Exactly.
The Only Rosa, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure. I've taken up so much of your time.
It's okay. I had so much fun.
And you're always welcome back. I can't wait to highlight the fact that when that album drops, we're going to be doing something together.
Yes, we are. Stay tuned, guys. In a few weeks, I'm going to be back here with Olivia and I'm going to be performing something fresh from the album.
Awesome. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you.
SpiceFM.